Okay, this is from my book, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers. We're continuing in alphabetical order, doing genius quotes. This is part 10 in genius quotes. So here's a conversation I had with my dad when I was in 8th grade. I said to my dad, you know, Dad, I've been having some ideas lately. I think they're kind of interesting. They're different, stuff other kids don't think about. I said, I think I might be a genius. My dad said, well, what type of genius are you? I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, are you a science genius, engineering genius, agricultural genius, musical, artistic? And I said, no. My dad goes, well, I know what type you are. I said, oh, yeah, really, what? What type? And he goes, a bullshit genius. Okay, here's Ayn Rand. The unrecognized genius, that's an old story. Have you ever thought of something much worse? The genius recognized too well that a great many men are fools who can't see the best. That's nothing. One can't get angry at that. But do you understand about the men who see it and don't want it? Okay, Ayn Rand from Finance. So yeah, that's basically, if somebody's a genius, they are rejected by most of society in the modern world. It's very infuriating. You see all these bullshit, tech persons. If somebody's doing something that makes money for a company, it's promoted. But if it's not making money for a company, it's suppressed. And nobody cares if it helps the regular people. Most of the things, okay, we covered that enough. Heraclitus, ancient Greek philosopher. Big results require big ambitions. Yep, it's good to have big dreams. Because it is so unbelievable, the truth often escapes being known. That's been in my experience with stupid people. Stupid people, they don't have any imagination. They don't have hardly any knowledge, so they can't develop a complex system of thought. And that's like why, when you tell them like what's happening in the modern world, that basically the super rich are trying to get rid of the Christians so that they can bring back slavery. If you've read history, that's obvious. It's been in writing for decades. But to an average person who doesn't know anything, that's like, oh my God, that's a rather extraordinary thought. I don't know, that's, they can't handle that. And that's why, the proles are so weak and disorganized and ununited and getting crushed. Okay, next one, Joseph de Maistre. He said, every inventor, every man of originality has been religious, even fanatically so. Perverted by atheism, the human mind is like a wasteland that produces nothing or is covered by weeds useless to man. That's another thing, too. If you've studied genius, it becomes obvious. Look at these guys, Bach, Michelangelo, Mozart, Newton. They're kind of like very intensely religious in a sense because that generates great achievement. Okay, and you have a sense of wonder, a sense of appreciation for God's creation, that life has a purpose, that it's meaningful, it's your destiny to create these works. Versus if you're an atheist, then life has no meaning. You're just an animal, a monkey that talks. Why do anything except make a little money, get drunk, try to find a woman or something. There's no purpose to anything. That's why they achieve very little and they can't handle setbacks. In the process of achieving genius level achievement, there's going to be tons of setbacks and obstacles, and you have to believe that it's your destiny, it's your purpose to overcome them, to have the energy to do it. Okay, Oscar Wilde, the public is wonderfully tolerant. It forgives everything except genius. Okay, here's Dean K. Simonton. He wrote a bunch of books about genius, like The Origins of Genius. He says, nearly all eminent people were voracious readers. That's how you end up learning more than other people, by reading a lot. If you're lucky, you'll find a teacher. You can do an apprenticeship. You'll have a good mentor who teaches you. That's hard to find. Makes a big difference if you can find it, though. Okay, quality tends to be a consequence of quantity. When it comes to creativity, those who produce the most masterworks also produce the most rubbish. Geniuses are those who have had intelligence, enthusiasm, who have the intelligence, enthusiasm, and endurance to acquire the needed expertise in a broadly valued domain of achievement, and then who make contributions to that field which are considered by their peers to be both original and highly exemplary. Geniuses pay attention to the things that others ignore. So it's a long haul. And it has to come from within because most of the time there's not much benefit conferred upon it from without. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the transcendentalists of the 1800s. Colleges hate geniuses, just as convents hate saints. Every production of genius must be a production of enthusiasm. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So I think that's why, to be religious, to appreciate God's creation, to be enthusiastic about doing your part to figure out one aspect of it, they all go together. Like Goethe had said, in order to learn a complex topic, a man must love it. And he's more likely to love it if he believes it was created by God and it's something beautiful. Okay. Here's a quote by Michelangelo. He says, if you knew how much work went into it, you wouldn't call it genius. Okay, and he also has lots of quotes too. Everything I do it for God, out of faith in God. I put all my hope in God. Bach, everything I do, is to the glory of God. Okay, Robert Fanny, a genius is someone who takes a complex thing and makes it look simple. An academic does the opposite, yes. Aristotle, no great mind has ever existed without a touch of madness. A lot of genius madness is they seem mad to people around them because they think differently. Arthur Schopenhauer, a man of genius can hardly be sociable, for what dialogues could indeed be so intelligent and entertaining as his own monologues? Great minds are like eagles, and they build their nest in some lofty solitude. Genius can be defined as an exceptionally clear consciousness of things, and therefore also of their antithesis and of one's own self. If you want to earn the gratitude of your age, you must keep in step with it. But if you do that, you will not produce anything great. If you have something great in view, you must address yourself to posterity. Only then, to be sure, you will probably remain unknown to your contemporaries. You will be like a man compelled to spend his life on a desert island and there toiling to erect a memorial so that future seafarers shall know he once existed. In a sense, I feel a little bit like that. In order to be popular in the modern nutrition world, you have to be a bullshit artist, liar, sellout to get along with the high-fat phonies in the bro science club. But the other choice is the one I've taken, is to tell the truth and try to figure things out as best you can about nutrition, disease, and physiology. But in which case, that makes you persona non grata, exiled, outcast from the whole interview popularity circuit, so nobody knows about you. Look at my videos. I'm getting like 100, 200 views. That's next to nothing compared to the bullshit artists. They're getting 500,000, 1 million views. Okay. Let's see, now this is continuing with Schopenhauer. In genius, knowledge becomes the main thing, the aim of the whole life. His existence, on the other hand, declines to a subsidiary thing, a mere means. His mind needs to be constantly and vigorously occupied. Genius is an intellect that has become unfaithful to its destiny. So the idea is that, the intellect is mostly for a regular man, something that he uses to make a little money, to feed himself, and to get sex so he can reproduce. He says, whereas a genius is somebody who's taken that intellectual power and put it into creative thought and learning. Okay, Edwin Percy Whipple. Talent repeats, genius creates. Talent is a cistern, genius is a fountain. Talent accumulates knowledge and has it packed up in the memory. Genius assimilates it with its own substance, grows it with every new accession, and converts knowledge into power. Genius converts knowledge into power. Okay. Piotr Wozniak. So Piotr Wozniak's a real smart Polish guy, and he developed this memory system program. I think it was called Super Memo or something like that. If you want to be a genius, you need a healthy brain, good hardware, so take care of your health. You need a good learning system, good software, learn study skills. You need lots of time studying, and you have to acquire a lot of knowledge, so you got to be very studious, and you need minimal negative interference, time wasted. Well, that's good advice. Anyways, that's it for Genius Quotes. I hope you found that segment helpful, parts 1 through 10.